Hi, this side Avit Bansal. I am an author and a life coach in the art of conscious living. I have made myself available here with just one simple intention to spread the right awareness about the phenomena of life, what people today call as manifestation. In this series, Understanding Neville Goddard Concept Explanations, today we are diving into one of the most asked and most feared questions, a question that almost everyone struggles with at some point because we have been conditioned to believe that maybe, just maybe, we don't really have a free will, that our desires might be out of reach, that life is happening to us, not through us. But before we begin, I want to tell you very clearly, something very clearly. Everything is possible for the one who believes. And I want you to stay with me till the very end of this video because understanding isn't just interesting, it is life changing and it will help you manifest the life you truly desire. Let's start with common definition of free will. Free will is generally defined as the capacity of individuals to make choices that are not entirely determined by external circumstances, biological instinct, or past event. Sounds simple enough, right? But the moment we hear capacity to make choices, our mind immediately thinks of physical choices like choosing actions, choosing behaviors, and choosing preferences. You think of choosing where to live, what career to pursue, or what your budget is, what color the house you want, or what goals you want to follow. We imagine free will as the menu of physical decisions. But here's where Neville Goddard comes in, and this is where everything changes. So Neville said something that once understood ends this confusion forever. He said, free will is the only freedom to choose your assumption, not the freedom to micromanage your outer life, not the freedom to focus results, but the freedom to choose the state, the identity, the inner assumption from which everything else follows. And once you understand this, you stop fearing what you don't have. For example, free will. You stop doubting your desires, stop thinking life is random and out of your hands. Neville's definition doesn't take any power away from you, it returns all of it to you. Because the moment you realize that your inner state, the assumption you choose, is the true source of everything that unfolds in your world, you stop trying to change the world from outside and you begin transforming from inside. And that's right there is where your real freedom lies. According to the common definition, free will is the capacity of individuals to make choices that are not entirely determined by external circumstances, biological instincts, or past events. Now, if you listen to this definition very carefully, you will notice this once again. It focuses entirely on physical choices, choosing actions, behavior, and preferences. But Neville said something that completely flips on its head. Neville taught that every physical effect has a spiritual cause. And that spiritual cause is your assumption, your I Am-ness, or your consciousness. So in Neville's own word, he said, everything that comes into your life is the result of your awareness of being. It means the real cause isn't what you do outside. It is the state you occupy on the inside. And that's why he said, the state you occupy determines your future. And this is not poetic, it's literal. The state you are in, your inner identity, your inner assumption, is the quiet conviction of who you are. It actually determines what enters into your life, how people treat you, what you notice, what you attract, or how you move through this world. So let's come back to the idea of free will. I want you to hear this next line very carefully. Free will is the ability to choose your state of consciousness, the assumption, the identity, or the inner position from which all thoughts, actions, and experiences flow. And this is the only true free will Neville ever acknowledged. And he made it very clear in his lectures. So he said, man is free to choose the state he will occupy. But once the state is chosen, it determines the future. So it means free will lies in the moment you select a state, not in the actions that follow. Because every action you take, Every reaction you have, every decision you make in the physical world is simply the echo of the state that you're already in. And to understand this fully, I highly recommend watching my video on states, because once you understand states, everything falls into place. But for now, in this video, let's go deeper into the idea of free will. I have seen in my own life, in the lives of the people I have guided. And if you look closely, you will notice in your life too as well. Earlier, I gave you an example of choosing to buy a home. But let's look at that honestly. Your ability to buy a home does not depend on the physical choice itself. It depends upon your circumstances, your budget, maybe your financial situations, your opportunities, and the conditions around you. If the common definition of free will were correct, that is the capacity to make choices not determined by external circumstances, then everyone would be simply able to choose a home of their choice and get it. But that's not how life works. You have seen people longing for home, but never get one. You have seen people desperately wanting to get a better job, a better health, more wealth, or a loving relationship. And despite wanting it with all of their heart, they somehow can't seem to reach it. According to the external definition of free will, they have a choice, but they cannot execute it. And this is where Neville comes in, and suddenly everything begins to make sense. Neville didn't say you have free will in the physical world. He didn't say you have free will in the circumstances. He didn't say you have free will in action. He said the only place you have free will is choosing your state. In his word, a man is free to choose the state and the state which he occupies, but the state once chosen, it determines the future. And this is why you see people struggle in life, not because they're unlucky or destiny is cruel, not because they don't deserve better, but because they want one thing, their desire, but they're living from completely different state. You cannot live in a state of poverty and expect wealth. You cannot live in a state of fear and expect freedom. You cannot live in the state of being loved and you expect love. Lovelessness is not a condition, it is a state of mind, a state of being, a state of I am. Until that state changes, outer world cannot change. So Neville dismantled this entire illusion of free will with just one simple but life-changing truth. Your free will is only freedom to choose your assumption. Just one line. But it changes everything. Because once you choose an assumption, once you enter a state, not just think about it, not just flirt with it, but truly accept a state, your entire world begins to rearrange itself automatically. Not because of fate or luck, but because of this law. And remember, once a state is chosen, you choose a state, you don't get to pick the bridge, you don't get to pick the timing, you don't get to pick the conversation, you don't get to control the unfolding. You only get to choose one thing, that is your state, because every state is a script, every state is a lens, every state is a filter, every state is like a gravitational field. It will pull everything in your life and align right in front of you. And the moment you step into a state, that state becomes the author of your experience. The thoughts you think, the feeling you feel, and the impulses you act on, they're not random. They're not just your personality per se. They are the consequences of who you assumed yourself to be. And this is why Neville said, you don't have free will inside a state. You only have free will choosing your state. So let me give you Neville's famous example, the thief. Just to understand this, when the thief was asked if he regretted stealing, he didn't said, I wish I hadn't become a thief. He said, I only wish I had picked a better time to steal, because he got caught. He wasn't guilty. That was just alignment. He didn't question the act. Stealing felt natural to him. He only questioned the timing. Why? Because in the state of I am thief, stealing feels normal, logical and expected. And it isn't just a moral debate, it's an identity in action. And this is why most people miss. They believe they are making conscious choices, but in reality, they are acting out of the logic of the state they are into. If you are in a state of I always get rejected, you will subconsciously choose actions and the moments that create or recreate rejection, and you call it a fate. But it isn't a fate, it is a faith in the wrong identity or state. If you're in a state of I'm not chosen, you'll think of thought that matches it. You'll notice hints of rejection even when they don't even exist. You will overlook love when it's right in front of you. You will recreate the same story again and again. Not because life is unkind, but because life is lawful. On the other hand, when you're in a state of I am fulfilled, fulfillment doesn't become a goal you chase, it becomes your natural normal, your perspective, your natural way of being, and the world simply reflects it back, not out of sympathy, but out of necessity. So choose a state where you're loved by your partner or a specific person. You choose a state where happiness is abundance. You choose a state where wealth is in plenty. You choose a state where success is automatic. You choose a state where you are what you desire to be. And remember, you don't have free will inside a state. You only have free will while choosing your state. And if you want to apply these into your life and learn how to change your life once and for all in 2026, I would like to invite you in the 2026 Reality Architect series, where I will walk with you to manifest your desired life in 2026. Till we meet next time.